Richard. This week, our listener's word person is Richard Jeffery from Headington. Richard, hello.
Hello, Bill.
You've got a poem,
I have.
which is quite long, isn't it?
Yes, it's a bit like the rhyme of the ancient mariner. It's 42 verse.
I like the ancient mariner context, because what they don't know is you've got a full set beard.
Oh, right.
Can you read it to us?
Yes.
Off you go.
Thank you. There was a place upon the earth where wildlife lived as one, where cats and dogs walked hand in hand beneath the noonday sun. The fox and hen made daisy chains together in the park, and owl and mouse were often seen a-strolling after dark. It was a timeless happy land. There was no petty crime, no vandalism or bullying, utopia in its prime. Then came one day a marmoset, a traveller from afar, puffing on a long cheroot and driving a yellow car. He spied a lonesome tortoise a-snoozing by a wall, stopped his car and strolling over kicked him like a ball. "Wake up, you lazy so-and-so," he yelled with all his might. "Who is your chief? Come tell me now, I haven't got all night." Poor tortoise, in a state of shock, found that he could not speak. So Marmoset, in a fit of pique, gave his nose a tweak. "I would not be ignored like this," the Marmoset did scream, and picking up the tortoise, went and threw him in a stream. The tortoise would have quickly drowned, of that we can be sure, if Rat and Vole had failed to hear the mighty engine roar. They stopped their game of tennis and were just in time to save their dear old faithful slow-coach friend from the watery grave. The Vole, she nursed him tenderly and mopped his sweating brow. The Rat studied the tyre tracks and asked the question, how could such a thing have happened in this peaceful world they knew? The answer was a mystery. He did not have a clue. Meanwhile, further down the road, the yellow car did stop beside a slothful salamander returning from the shop. "Come here, you fat albino newt," the marmoset did boom. The salamander's terse reply would have shamed a barrack room. "A creature after my own heart," the marmoset, he cried. "Jump up here beside me, let me take you for a ride. Those shopping bags look heavy, pray let me drive you home, and you can tell me all about this place I've come to roam." So the marmoset rallied Salamander to his flag. 3 gin and tonics later, her tongue began to wag, spouting all the gossip, the scandal and the prattle, which would come in very useful in any future battle. And so was born that fateful night a union so strange, Salamander, Marmoset, and a world about to change. But now they needed henchmen to join their motley crew. Coyote's name was bandied about, and that of Donkey too. Coyote came at 9:30, about an hour late, a scraggy, scrawny creature, way past its sell-by date, but sly enough nonetheless to be welcomed to the team, with fervour looking forward to the gruesome twosome's schemes. Donkey would agree to aught for a cup of tea, a very simple creature of low mentality, a follower of others from the first time that it brayed. Donkey's only followers carried a bucket and spade. They met together in a cave, the motley gang of 4, Marmoset with blackboard, Donkey on the door, Salamander pigging out, then running to the loo, Coyote making wine lists for the weekend's barbecue. "Now listen up, you chosen few," the Marmoset, he roared, and started chalking words and plans upon the blank blackboard. "From this day forth I am the chief, and all must bow before me. So go and spread the word today, my trusty pirate army." Whoops and cheers rang from the floor, and shouts of hip hooray. Donkey didn't understand, but joined in anyway. Coyote grinned and licked its lips. It lived for days like these. Salamander ogled Marmoset and went weak at the knees. Marmoset and Salamander ruled like king and queen. This suited Salamander, as it was going to mean she could lead a life of Riley, one of lazy leisure, drinking, smoking, swearing, and counting up the treasure. One day, Vole was walking out when by chance she should meet an elderly distressed dormouse crying in the street. "Why do you weep?" Vole kindly asked. "Why all those tears of sadness?" Dormouse went on to explain about the newfound madness. Vole was shocked to learn about the wicked dastardly deeds of Coyote and of Donkey and their sowing of slanderous seeds. But just who was this marmoset with crown and ermine cloak? Could it be the monkey in the yellow car about whom Tortoise spoke? Vole paid a visit to her friend Rat and told the sorry tale. Rat stood up and shook his head and then began to wail. "I've heard such stories recently from Ferret and from Shrew, and wicked gossip going round concerning me and you." Vole and Rat decided to call a council of war at a clearing in the forest for shortly after 4. They invited everyone they met. Some said they would come. Others just looked frightened and would shake their heads and run. At 4:15, Rat stood up and addressed the crowd. He thanked them all for coming, and then he asked out loud if anyone there gathered had any light to shed upon the bullish marmoset with the crown perched on its head. A wolf stepped forward sheepishly in answer to Rat's plea, and proceeded to tell of things he'd heard and things he'd seen, of Salamander and Marmozette, whom he'd seen Bill and Coo, now shacked up inside a cave with Coyote and Donkey too. And Squirrel told a sorry tale that while out blackberry picking, she'd been ambushed by the donkey and received a damn good kicking. By now the Rat had heard enough, and he put out a call to form a rebel army and bring down the gang of four. Hands shot up among the crowd, and Vole took down the names, but unbeknown to her, someone else was doing the same. Hiding in the undergrowth was Coyote taking notes on Vole, Rat, Tortoise, Toad, Rabbit, Weasel, Stoat. Coyote ran back to the cave holding high the page. Marmozette snatched it up and read it through with rage. His ears began to quiver and he muttered neath his breath that every creature on that list must now be put to death. But Marmy dear, Salamander spoke, a very fine solution, but no animal will freely come to its own execution. Marmozette knew that this was true. They'd need a scheme so sly to trick the rebels to their cave where they would surely die. Coyote liked the sound of this. It hated the odious Rat. It would give most anything to snuff out the verminous brat. And Donkey really hated Vole, which came as no surprise. It always seemed to side with Rat and never attracted flies. "We'll sleep on it," said Marmozette. "We'll sleep on it tonight. We'll wake refreshed tomorrow with the answer in our sight." He handed round his large cigars, poured brandies for them all, and by the wee small hours they collapsed upon the floor. Rat, Vole and their volunteers all met in Badger's set. Outside it was raining and everything was wet. "Damn this cursed weather," said Polecat, eager for a fight. "Fear not," soothed Tiny Muntjac, "it will be all right." "There'll be no action while it rains," the Badger wisely said. "Best thing for us all to do is go take to our beds. There'll be time enough tomorrow to plan our strategy. This fight is not for us alone, but global liberty." A note was sent next morning to each rebel on the list. It promised them an amnesty if they would keep a tryst. "Let us work out a solution," it said, "at the cave. It's only wise." The creatures sought out Rat and Vole to ask for their advice. "Don't go," screamed Vole. "Don't go," urged Rat. "This doesn't smell quite right." But the others wanted peace once more. They didn't want to fight. One by one the animals went. They thought to sign a truce, but once inside were overpowered and led towards a noose. Rat and Vole had followed on, at length, behind the rest. Perhaps the letter was sincere. Maybe the others knew best. They watched from a safe vantage point as every animal was received. They waited and they waited, but they never saw one leave. They had seen so many enter, but none of them came out. They knew then their hunch was right, and Rat began to shout, "What a futile waste of life! Evil like cancer grows!" Vole, she simply bowed her head, and a tear ran down her nose. Coyote heard the ranting and slunk into the sun. "Ahoy there, Rat and Vole," it cried. "Come in and join the fun." "We're a little averse to crowds," said Vole. "I'm sorry to make a fuss, but when some of your guests have left, there might be room for us." Coyote knew the trap was sprung and reported back inside. Marmozette was livid. Salamander sighed. Donkey still didn't know what was going on. It was chewing on a carrot and singing an asinine song. "Pack your bags, we're leaving," cried Marmozette in haste. Hurry now, we have no time to waste. When those two goody two-shoes discover what we've done, our lives won't be worth living. We're going on the run." The yellow car sped from the cave in a cloud of tobacco smoke. It thundered past poor Rat and Vole and caused them both to choke. There was heckling, raucous laughter as it sped on out of sight, when a rustle from the bushes caused Vole to turn in fright. It was only their friend Tortoise, looking all hale and hearty. "Sorry I'm so late," he said. "Have I missed the party?" Receiving no reply from them, he looked up in surprise to see that Rat and Vole had tears welling in their eyes. They wept together through the night till they could weep no more. They buried their fallen heroes shortly after dawn. They built a fitting monument of granite and of iron, upon which they laid a wreath of golden dandelions. It took a few long weeks of mourning until things were the same, and cats and dogs were walking hand in hand once again, fox and hen making daisy chains together in the park, and owl and mouse were once more seen a-strolling after dark. Rat and Vole, they made a pact to hunt down the evil four. Nothing has been heard of them for a month or more. Tortoise tends the eternal flame and waits for news to come of the friends whom he last saw as two silhouettes in the sun.
Richard, thanks very much. A few species in there, aren't there?
Yes.
It's a sort of Wind in the Willows with 1990s emotions and apprehensions, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
How long ago did you write that?
In the spring, and it took me about 2.5 days.
Did it?
Yeah.
This
was at work in my spare time. I did do work while I was writing this.
What do you work at, Richard?
I'm a technician for the university.
Oh, right. So you can just fit in a bit, between break time and that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure.
How long have you been writing?
Recently, only since about Christmas. Although, I used to write years ago.